Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 1989 film Pet Sematary, and it's directed by Mary Lambert and stars Dale Midkiff, Fred Gwynne and Denise Crosby. This tells the story of the Creed family who move into what has to be one of the best looking houses in a movie I've ever seen, and soon discover an indoor burial ground not too far away where the dead can be brought back to life once they have been buried there. Now, Pet Sematary is a film I've only seen a couple of times before this rewatch, and I've never actually thought it was one of the greatest horror movies ever, but it's a very decent horror movie and a very competent Stephen King adaptation from my memory, and I was quite excited to return to this and give it another viewing as it's been a couple of years. And just a heads up guys, this is a spoiler review and I'm going to be delving a little bit deep into the movie, so that is a heads up there. So what did I think of Pet Sematary? Let's find out. Like lots of Stephen King stories, the guy's a genius. I think that this is an awesome concept, to be honest. And it also questions what you would do if you lost one of your beloved pets. Would you bring it back to life if you had this cemetery at your disposal? Yes would be the answer for our main protagonist, Lois Creed, played by Dale Midkiff, who I've got to be honest, I haven't seen in any other movies before besides this one. But the guy is a likeable character to get behind for the first half of the movie, at least. More on that later. But he's just this guy who moves his family into this wonderful home. He wants the best for them. He's got a good job as a doctor. He loves his wife and kids very much, you can tell. And it's all happy families. I'm quite baffled as to why the father-in-law does not like him in this movie at all. But I think this is all what makes some of the later scenes in the movie very heartbreaking indeed, because I just feel like this guy's fortunes change for the worst once he moves into this house. We are soon introduced to Jud Crandall as well, the neighbour who lives across the road, and he is one of the biggest positives about Pet Sematary. He's just this guy, played by Fred Gwynne, who has this command and scream presence and this wonderful accent. I mean, you're just listening to every single word that he says here. He's very welcoming to Lois Creed and his family. A very nice guy. And no one can say road like this guy. I mean, no one in the history of the world can say road better than Jud Crandall.
Thank you. I'm Lois Creed.
Jud Crandall. I live just across the road. You want to watch out for that road.
Seriously, I lost count of the amount of times this guy says road in this movie, but it's all for good reason. There's a lot of explaining going on here to Lois Creed and the audience. It's kind of exposition here about the dangers of this road possesses, because these trucks are just flying through the middle of their houses, you know, at 60, 70 miles an hour, and he's kind of warning Lois Creed that he's got to have eyes in the back of his head. There's kids running around, and I like the way the movie explains this a lot because it does play into the story later on. The friendship between him and Lois is great too. It's just nice to see. I mean, Lois must be about 50 years younger than him, but the chemistry on screen is there for all to see. I mean, they just become great friends here. Next minute, Jud Crandall's just having picnics with his family and stuff. He's like the great-grandfather to these kids. And he's just a great character to have, with some very questionable decisions he makes in this movie, it must be said. Once Church is killed, the cat in this movie, Jud tells Lois about the Pet Cemetery. And this is one of the questionable decisions I've just been talking about. Was it right for Jud Crandall to tell Lois about this place, especially with all of the past experiences he's had and the stories he's got to tell about this place? He goes on to say that he felt bad for Ellie, you know, Lewis's daughter, and losing her cat. But come on, George, you should know better than that, man. I mean, for such a likeable character, he really has got a bad side to him, even if he doesn't mean it. By the way, though, it is so weird for Jud telling Lois about this place just for the way he explains about the cemetery in such a creepy way.
Yeah, that's a good story. A good walk. I'll take you up there sometime. Tell you the story, too.
The movie contains some quite horrifying scenes as well. I think Stephen King has gone on record to say he actually scared himself writing this novel, and I can see why. There's some scenes in this movie that just absolutely go for it. One of them that's a bit of a standout for me this time that I didn't think too much of on my first watches, but here it really stood out to be quite creepy and spine-tingling, is when Jud is telling Lewis about the cemetery and this war veteran who was buried by his father there. And about a day later, we see a flashback of this story of the war veteran going to his home, and he's like a zombie monster and he's just trashing the house. And the townsfolk don't take too kindly to that, so they decide to burn the house down. I mean, they could have really pulled the old man out of there before burning his house down, but alright, I think we'll just let that slide. But the way that this war veteran who's come back pulls his dad into the fire while the house is burning down, I mean, that's a story right there. That just didn't quite sit right with me. Also, we're going to talk about Zelda, who is the sister of Rachel Creed, Lewis's wife here, and she tells the story of her sister who had this twisted spine. And when she was younger, she was put in charge of looking after her, and she was terrified to go into the room. But some of these scenes, man, they were creepy to watch. I mean, Zelda's makeup design was awesome, but it just looks so horrifying. And that moment where Zelda just spins around when Rachel goes into a room was shuddering. I can imagine these scenes scaring a lot of people who've watched this film. Definitely some of the creepiest scenes in the movie. But we do have this. Then we have the housemaid who kills herself because she thinks she's got stomach cancer. And then we have Victor, who is hit by a truck, and Lewis can't save him, and he's a doctor, and does he see that stuff daily? Then we do have a moment with Gage later on. Church, the cat is ran over, and it just got me thinking, does death just surround this family? I mean, it's almost as if the pet cemetery pulled them towards the house to go and live there and chose them instead of them choosing it. And we do learn later on that the cemetery is sort of wanting souls to feed on, so it's trying to pull death towards it. But I know that was just a deep thought, really. And when Gage is killed in the movie, it hit a lot harder this time, being a father of two. And Gage is only very young in this movie, and my eldest boy is about his age. So I was just watching this going, man, what would you even do in this situation? How can you even comprehend this happening to your child? And I was just waiting for Lois's reaction once Gage is hit and that little kid's shoe is just bouncing down the road, because, man, I can't even begin to imagine how hard that must hit. It's a really sad moment in the movie, and it just sent shudders up my spine, really. It really does go for it, this film. I mean, it's killing a goddamn 2-year-old in a very violent way. So the movie does have its scenes here, but again, it just got me thinking, when Gage is walking towards this road, is that the cemetery pulling him there? I just see it now a lot more this time round. One of the best aspects of Pet Sematary as well is seeing characters come back from this cemetery after they've been buried, after their death, in such a more sinister and dark manner. You get to see another side of the character, really, and it happens about 4 times in the film, including the war veteran guy. But this is a great strength of Pet Sematary storytelling. Church might just go down as one of my least favourite horror movie pets now, alongside Prince from The People Under the Stairs. He's just such a little arsehole, isn't he? He's scratching Lewis's face and stuff, and hissing at everyone. And when Lewis said, "Fuck off, hairball," I thought, yes, thank you, that was very fitting. But the third act is virtually turned into a slasher movie here, with Gage coming back and just slicing people up. And something isn't quite right about that, is there? A 2-year-old going around killing people. It's just a very dark way of storytelling. And some people, that might not sit right with people, but it just shows the sinisterism of what Pet Sematary has to offer. It's a no-hold-barred type of movie. The kid hangs his own mother at one point and gives such a gruesome death to poor Jud. I mean, that heel slice is something to behold. I mean, this kid is on a fucking rampage here. And this is why I said Louis Creed is only likable for about half the film, because understandably, when Gage is killed, he goes off the rails, but I think he's just totally lost his mind at this point and just become absolutely crazy, because who the hell would dig up their dead child? I mean, it's just so weird seeing that scene where he's digging up Gage and holding his dead corpse. Something just about that isn't right, and I understand that he's not ready to let go yet and stuff, but he doesn't even learn his lesson when it comes to burying his wife. He knows she's gonna come back, this total asshole, and he does it anyway. He's just lost it at this point, and I can't quite get on board with some of the decisions he makes here. I mean, he's just some very, very stupid decisions, put it that way. I mean, he's just re-killed his kid too at this point. I mean, how does that even work? Stephen King, man, I don't know what's going on up there, but fuck. But I just don't get how Lois thinks that burying his wife, it's gonna work, because just because she's just died that moment, he even goes, it's only just happened, it'll be fine. How does he think that logical up? How does the movie think that logical up? Like I said, he's either lost his mind, he's in total denial, or he actually thinks this is gonna work. The character is just literally spun on his head at this point. Can I just say, despite all of this though, this movie's ending is kick ass. It has a very uneasy feel to it, but I think the message is just plain and simple there. Some things are just better left dead, or should I say, better left in the past. It happened, and that's that. We just have to try and move on, however hard it is. As cool as this movie is, though, there are some things that don't quite work for it, and my biggest gripe here is Victor. And I've thought this every single time I've watched it, but I paid special attention to him here this time around, because I knew going in that he didn't quite work for me the last time. And again, he just didn't here. I know he's telling us little things about the cemetery, but it's quite minimal and sort of in riddles and stuff, and I don't quite know if he's trying to warn characters or not. I just don't really get this character. I know Stephen King probably had them as a big part of the story in the novel, but I don't know if it was the way Mary Lambert put her across on screen or whatever. I don't think he works for this movie adaptation. I don't think he needs to be there. And he plays quite a, I wouldn't say a huge chunk, but he's in enough scenes here. I just didn't quite get it. Maybe you guys in the comments can correct me on that. But for me personally, I just didn't see what this character was bringing to this story. Another one I don't quite get is all the dream stuff with Ellie. Like Victor, I don't quite get what it was trying to do with the story here, what it was trying to put across on screen. I mean, it just really, I didn't get what it was doing. It wasn't clear, put it that way. These dream sequences that Ellie's having, these nightmares and little warnings that she's throwing out, why is she having them? I don't know. And it doesn't help that Ellie is not the greatest of child actors. I know lots of movies in the 70s, 80s and 90s suffered from annoying child actors, and Blaze Birdall, I'm sorry Blaze if you're watching, does fall into that category, unfortunately.
Daddy's gonna do something really bad!
The movie is also a little bit dated with its visuals. I mean, it looks like a TV movie at times. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the way it looks. It's a minor nitpick, but there's no cool cinematography or anything on offer here. It's just very, very bland. However, it's quite impressive how much story is fitted into this 1 hour and 45-minute runtime here. There's a lot to like with Pet Sematary. There's just a couple of things I would have improved on that probably would have helped it stand amongst the horror greats, but it's not quite there. I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. I'm going to give Pet Sematary a 7.5 out of 10. A very, very creepy and cool horror movie, and one of the better Stephen King adaptations. Okay guys, at the end of these reviews, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, a fun fact for Pet Sematary is that Zelda was actually played by a man, Andrew Subotsek. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That was very hard to say. Because Mary Lambert wanted these scenes to terrify the audience, and she just thought a man playing her and being a little bit off would be more creepy than a 13-year-old girl playing her. Okay guys, I hope you all enjoyed this review. Please subscribe to this channel if horror is your sort of thing, and give this video a like. And please leave in the comments what you thought of Pet Sematary. Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? Do you like the remake better? Let me know. Thanks so much guys. You all take care, and I'll see you on the next video. I live just across the road. You want to stay away from that road? That's a mean road, alright, Lewis. You stay away from that road, Lewis. Oh.